Masech Avoda Zara, the Aflamet Beis Amud Aleph. We're starting from the second line from the top. Zog the Mishnah V'cheres Adayoni. In the Mishnah, it enumerates things of a goy that are forbidden. Amongst them is V'cheres Adayoni. It's a min cheres, a min earthenware that they soaked in wine. What does Adayoni mean? Amud Abi Yehuda, Amud Abi Shmuel. Cheres Shal Adayonis case. It's referring to Adayonis, who was then the Caesar of Rome, who destroyed the city of Beitar when Bar Kokhba had rebelled after the Churban Bayis Sheni. So when Avdimi came to Babel from Eretz Yisrael, he said Karka Psula. There was Karka that was never worked on in the country of Adayonus, that a person never worked on it. Avoda Unata Adayonus worked on that karka, and he planted, and he made from them very strong wine, because since the karka was never worked, so all the strength of the karka remained in the karka, and he was able to make very strong wine. And he put in wine in the jug of the earthenware, which was white, meaning it was new, and he put it in for a specific time, till the jugs soaked in their wine, and then they would break the earthenware into pieces, and they would carry it with them, and wherever they would reach to their destination, they would soak their piece of cheres into water, and the wine would be very strong. Rabbi Shimon Levi said that the yayin meshubach, the most best wine of ours, is only equal kishlish shalahem, is only like the third time that they soak it into the water, meaning the third time they had it soaked in wine, and they soaked it in water, becomes very strong wine. And he tells us even after the third soaking, it's the equivalent of our best wine. What is the din to having enough from the cheres itself? You needed it. Lamashal, if the bed was shaking, one of the feet needed support, so to use that cheres for support of the bed. When the Yid wants, now he's explaining the Shayla, when the Yid wants that this earthenware should exist, but not for the wine, but for something else, for support, like we said, for the foot of the bed, Shadi, is it mutter, or it's going to be forbidden? Because we could say it should be mutter because he has no he has no interest in the wine itself, or should we say it's also because it's part of, it has in it wine which is also Tashma. Come in here and I'll answer you there. It's a machlekes of Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yechanan. Chad asa, chad shari. One says it's asa, and one says it's mutter. The halacha is like the one that says it's asa, and that's Dr. the halacha. Meisa, the Gemara asked from the following brayso: Hadurin, these small jugs, varuk and bottles, shalev of the goyim, that they had in the past had wine in those bottles or jugs. If the wine of a yid was put into it, it's forbidden to drink, but it's mutbana. Hey, it's Shimon ben Gudel of Nebed Rabbi Gamil. Shimon ben Gudel had testified before his son Rabbi Gamil. Rabbi Gamil, about Rabbi Gamil, his father, he said he drank from such a wine that the guy had once used a jug or bottle, and he put it in his own wine, and he drank from such wine. Ba'ako, in the city of Ba'ako. But the Chachamim and Gamil's son did not agree to this testimony. They said it never happened. Those leather pouches of the goyim, Rabbi Shimon ben Kfusai. Shimon Gamil says the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Kfusai. It's forbidden to make a saddle out of those leather pouches, which you can really make as a saddle. He says it's forbidden. Says the Gemara. So you see, therefore it's usher by a noid the same thing. We should say the same thing. Here, when it comes to to use it for, he wants to use it for a saddle for chamei. Here he only wants for the saddle, not for the wine itself. And nevertheless, we katani dasa. We learned it's also. So you have a raya that it's also, even though you don't want it for the wine itself. You only want it for this saddle. Says according to Yoshita that it's forbidden to have it, even when he doesn't want it for the wine. Says the Gemara, that even the jugs of goyim l'tasul lemizavin, it should be also to sell. From here, for this that you said the lashon dafke noid is a raya from that the kankanim is mutter because he used the lashon noidis. So that means kankanim is mutter. Maishna noidis maishna kankanim. What's the difference between the leather pouches and kankanim and jugs? Rabbi says, whereby noid, the reason why it's also we're afraid, maybe part of the pouch of the Yiddish pouch will rip. He take this one that had goyish wine soaked in it, and he's using it as a saddle. We're afraid he's going to take a piece to patch up the hole in the other a leather pouch where the Yid has the wine, and he's now going to use from the saddle which has the goyish wine in it and use that as a pass for the Yiddish pouch. And he's going to sew it up to the hole of that pouch of the Yid, and he now is going to have yayin nesach mixed with his wine. That's why it's also. But Mashain came by when you're talking about the bottles, it's not shaykh, or by cheres, that's not shaykh to use as a pouch. According to Mandiyama, that if he wants he wants to use this cheres for, let's say, just for support for the bed and not for the wine. Why? When it comes to jugs, you said it's going to be aser, it's going to be mutter. Why? Because you only said which one is aser, noidei. But why kankanim is it going to be mutter? So he says, Abalach, he's going to say, and kankanim, we're talking about jugs, which is made kankanim is jugs out of cheres also. What's the difference? Abalach, he's going to say, there by the kankanim, it's not made. Those kankanim are not made to soak in the wine and to use it for. It's very small, so it's not made to use it to soak in the wine of the yayin nesach and to use it for later. So hacha isay li. But here, when we're talking about the bottles, or when we or the cheres that we were talking about, we're talking about a cheres that's normally used to soak in wine for a long time, so it's so filled with the yayin nesach, it's like the isa is right there, and therefore it's asa. It says, and they didn't agree to the testimony of Shemen Gudo, the effect of Yimara Akasha, but we learned just the opposite. Yayin abba, beruk ba'ez, wine that comes in bottles, that was in the wine, the Jewish wine that was in the bottles of Evdicham, it's forbidden to drink, but it's mutmana. Hey, it's Shemenguda lefnei b'nei Sharam Gamil. Aram Gamil shashas manavi hakom yoydalei. Aram Gamil was made that Aram Gamil was testified. Gamil testified on that. Sorry, Ben Shimon Goida had testified in front of the son of Rabbi Gamil that he drank from such a barrel, and they said, and they agreed that he did right. What does it mean that we learned in the first brisa? So he says, Kol Siyaseh, the whole Bnei Chabura, the whole Chavraya, the group that was with Shimon, Rabbi Gamil's son, or the Bnei Chabura, the group that was of Shimon Ben Guda, they They didn't agree to that testimony. But the son of Ram Gamil, Maidalei, did agree to the testimony of Shimon ben Guda. It was just the Chavraya who didn't. So the first price that said Loi Eidoloi is going on the group of Shimon ben Guda. Second price that says Eidoloi is going on Ram Gamil's son, who was made it to the story. If you want, I'll tell you another answer. Good lachut, good lachut. There's two Gudas. Guda with an aleph. That's Shimon ben Guda, who said that it's us, that he said that Ram Gamil ate it, drank from it, and nobody agreed to the testimony. And the second one, with the Eidoloi, is talking about Guda with an ayin. You can hear the chiluk between Aleph and Ayin by the Sfadim, but with Guda here we're talking about ayin lachut, and that's a different Guda. And there they were made that testimony. We said those skin that they cut out round, and the part of the procedure of serving Avoda zara was they would cut out a round piece out of the behemoth and pull out from a living animal the heart and use it for Avoda zara. What is the case of where they rip? That skin was ripped right corresponding to the heart. And it was cut like a window round. If there was a crust of blood on it, asa, then it's a asa because it's a siman that the oil was cut out while the behemoth was alive, like they do, and they took out the heart like they the ways that they served in Avoda zara. But but if there was no crust of blood, muta, it's going to be mutmana, because the cut was not done in the way that they serve Avoda zara, and therefore it wasn't. We could say it wasn't done l'shem Avoda zara. Avoda said leishana. We didn't learn ela shadayin loy l'malachei, only as long as they didn't yet salt the leather in order to preserve it. But if you see the piece it cut after they had already salted it, it's asbana, even if there's no crust of blood, because Ema will say here it's different, because the nature of the salt, after he salted it, the nature is to remove the blood from the flesh. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says, in the time when the cut is round, it's asbana. But if it was mashuch, if it was a long straight cut, mutter, it's mutter, because the way they served Avoda zara was through a round cut. Rabbi Yosef said, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shmuel, the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel. Meaning what we just said, that there's a difference. If it's round, it's going to be asa, because that's the way they serve their idols. But if it was mashka, long cut, that skin of the long cut you could use. Abai said to his teacher, from your words, it's mashma that you had to say halacha, that halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Miklal, you could imply that pliki, that there's somebody that argues on Rabbi Shimon Gamliel and says that even if it's mashaykh, long straight cut, it's still going to be asbana. Amalei Abayes, Amalei, so Rabbi Yosef said, Abayes, my nafkalach mina. What's the chili legabach if they're arguing or not? If the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, what's the difference? Amalei is. So Abayes said back to Rabbi Yosef, Gemara said, hey, what do you want? You want to learn the Talmud like it's just a song that you repeat without understanding? If there's no machlekes on this side of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, so for why would you say that halacha is like him? First of all, they used to learn the Gemara by heart, so they were very limited and very careful and sticking to as few words as that is needed for learning the Gemara. But if there's no reason for it, if nobody's arguing, why would you have to add the words? The halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. So the Gemara, we learned in the Mishnah, basa hanichnas, the basa of a guy, that the guy was going on a pilgrimage to the to serve the idol, and there was geshachtna meat that you shachted for the guy, and he was about to go to the Avoda Zichavim, to his Avoda Zara, and a Yid took it before he went into the Avoda Zara. Muta. The halacha is muta, he's allowed to take it. In fact, who's the one that learned this Mishnah that says the boss of a goy is mutba? No, is that everybody's opinion? The like Rabbi Lezer, it does not follow the sheet of Rabbi Lezer. If it follows Rabbi Lezer, Omar Rabbi Lezer says in a Mishnah in Chulin on Lamed Chesam the Beis that Stam Machshav Seif Gechavim in Lamed Gechavim the Stam Kavana of a guy is always l'shem Avoda Zara. So therefore, even in Astam, we say that his Kavana was for Avoda Zara, even if he was on his way up. Every behemoth that was yeshachten through a guy, or a Yid did it for the guy, we say that shechita was done for him to use the meat for Avoda Zara. And therefore it's asabana according to Rabbi Eliezer, and you would not be able to. He wouldn't allow for you to buy it even on the way before he was sacrificed for Avoda Zara, because his kavanah was for Avoda Zara. The Mishnah continues, so therefore it doesn't follow Rabbi Eliezer. We said that if the guy is coming out of the church, no, if the guy is coming out of the church, it's because it's considered as if he sacrificed it already for the idols, and the idols are not considered as mason because they have no life. Like in my time, why do we treat it like zivchei mason once he enters into the Beis Avoda Zichavim, and he stayed at the time of the Akava, he answered the lake at Beis Avoda Zichavim. It's almost impossible to say that when he went into the Avoda Zara place, for sure with the meat, for sure he had it to be marketed on the Mizbeach, and therefore it's for sure aser if he's on the way back from the Avoda Zara. In fact, like who is this Mishnah following? Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. It follows Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, who compares the Takrevis Avoda Zara to a mace, and just like a mace is asmana, so too the Takrevis, something that was sacrificed for Avoda Zara, the meat that was for L'Shem Avoda Zara is also like a mace, but no. Tanya that we learned in the Brayso, Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Ima, Menayim Takrevis Avoda Zichavim Shemetam Be'el. From where do we know that the Takrevis, somebody who sacrifices for idols meat, that it's metama be'oil like a maze? The whole oil is tamei. Shenema, I eat something about pay that they attach themselves to the balpay, which is Avoda Zara. Vayevchlu zivchei mason, and they had eaten from the zivchei mason. Ma maze metam be'oil, just like a person who's dead is metam the whole oil. After krevis Avoda Zichavim metam be'oil. So too, the meat that was used for Avoda Zara is metama be'oil. We learned in the Mishnah Ha'ich Tapuz, one who's going to a pilgrimage to the house of Avoda Zara. You're not allowed to do any business with them, because we have to be afraid that eventually he's going to go, when he comes to the Avoda Zara, he's going to thank the Avoda Zara for making such a great deal for him. Shmuel said, when I get to a guy who's going like a pilgrimage to the Avoda Zara, on the way there, it's forbidden to do any business, because we have to be afraid that he's going to thank the Getchke for making a great deal for him. He's going to go and thank before the Avoda Zichavim for his great deal. But on his way back, you're allowed to do business with him, because whatever happened prior is done already. Now he's on his way home, so he's not going to go back. But a Yid who's going on a pilgrimage to serve Avoda Zara, on the way to the Avoda Zara, you're allowed to do business. Dilma Hadabe V'Lo because he might retract from serving idols, and therefore you could do business with him. But Chazara also, but on his way back, you're not allowed. Kivan the Havigba, since he is so connected to the Avoda Zara, he already was over the Avoda Zara. Mada Hada Azal, and it's a new thing to him, so he's gonna want. He just started. He's gonna go back and thank Hashem, thank Chas v'Shalom, he'll thank the Avoda Zara for his great deal. He'll even go back, and he'll be even stronger than a guy, which a guy we know won't go back, but this Yid who converted to Avoda Zara would go back. We learned we said that a Yid who's going on a pilgrimage to the Goyish to serve idols, whether he's on his way there or on back, it's also Avashi said, Kitanya, when did we learn that? But Isa, that was B'Yachs Yisol, that is a Muma L'Avoda Zara. So the Vada Yazel, for sure, he will go to the base of Avoda Zara like he had thought, and he won't retract. If he was on his way to serve Avoda Zara, and he's a Muma, he's known to be a Muma, for sure he's going there, and he's not going to retract. That's why even on the way there, we cannot do any business with him, because he's so determined to serve Avoda Zara, and he has no Havamina to do tshuva.